Good morning, America, world, and the cosmos. I really did think about that greeting.
We love it.
It's Sonia and
Kelsey.
We are going to have a conversation today with everyone. We've moved ourselves through. We've moved ourselves through some epic, extraordinary periods of lives that were very deep, very meaningful, very much brought up a lot of different sisterhood archetypes or wounds.
And the goddess archetypes
very much
that we were talking about, like deep goddess archetypes that come up, and we see them in sisterhood. We see them in the way that we connect with other women, especially if we're building vision and creativity and being these powerhouses, right? And what comes up in these different elements of how we exist as women living in our divinity.
Exactly. So, well said.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our storyline started once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
Kelsey, it was 2019. We met inside of, was it the Metaphysical Mastermind?
Yeah, it sure was.
One of the most epic by Sonia G experiences that was called the Metaphysical Mastermind.
Yeah, it was the foundation.
It
was a beautiful connection.
And it was such a group. We still have such a group from that, such a core. We need to do that again.
Yeah, and we came to the salt.
Yes. So in 2019, this is where this journey started. And Kelsey was just such an energetic. I always loved her interactions and her comments and the mastermind and all of her experiences. And she was just such a bright light. She still is such a bright light in the Metaphysical Mastermind. And through, I don't know if it was different courses, but I remember short after that came the retreat.
Yeah, you were building the retreat and just talking about it. And I was writing your newsletter at that time because I had reached out and I wanted to help somehow. And you were like, actually, I really want to build this newsletter, but I don't really want to write it.
Right. Yeah.
I have all this content, but I'm already full. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll put it out there. I had no idea what I was doing, but it made it work, and it worked, and we loved it.
Initiative.
Yeah. And I just was like, all right, I'm going to try on something new. And then you were talking about the retreat, and I'm like, well, I mean, I have availability. Do you need help with that too? And then I came out, really, you hired me to do the food for the whole time.
Yep.
And that was kind of the foundation. And then I was like, well, I can come out early if you need help with other things. And then we literally sat together. I think it was like 3 days of hanging out, and we looked at each other and we're like, are we working together? Do we work together?
I was like, I think I need to hire you.
What? Did this just happen?
We did. It was such an epic retreat. The 2020 Lionsgate retreat.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, the first of many. These were the Moon Babes days.
Yep.
Yes, the Moon Babes days of our lives.
The foundation, yes.
When we moved around the moon cycles and the astrology, and it was such a journey. And so Kelsey was with me with Moon Babes for 3 years. Was it? That's pretty amazing. Yeah. And it was like we navigated so many things. We went so many adventures.
We did. We went on a lot of adventures. A lot of grid work, a lot of dances of light across the globe.
A lot of dances of light across the globe. It was the first dance of light that we ever did outside of, well, for us, Chantal had. So let's talk about the dance of light.
Yes, we are on the salt. It is anchored in.
Our story goes that I believe Kelsey and I really recognize each other, like our souls, like many of us in sisterhood, our souls recognized each other, and we had this instant kind of a bond, sisterhood, and fit, and we worked well together. And I was so scared. She was the first person I ever hired with a substantial salary and all sorts of things. I was like, do you remember? I was like dry heaving. I was like, this is how, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like responsible. I felt like I was so responsible for her well-being, and she moved across the country literally to work with Moon Babes and to live in Utah. And it was such a responsibility and such a connection. It was such a bond, especially when we were working through so much of metaphysical, spiritual, magic. And at the time, I'm going to say this, I was coming out of the destructuring and deconstructing of my corporate America structures.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that, when I look back, a lot of the things that would like rile me up was that distorted feminine. But now I see it all over the internet, and I see it all over the coaching world, right? Where women think that they're feminine, and it's not, they're fucking feminine. We're pulling on a distortion of the masculine because that's the way that we've always done it. And because even though we start something new, our foundations are always what's going to influence us. Yeah. And so I was so very much, oh my gosh, we have to answer an email within, remember that? Like, oh, Kelsey, you have to check the emails. We have to, in this realm.
Literally right now, within 20 seconds?
I was like, yeah. Okay. Where it was coming from in my heart is because of all of you, like everybody, like all of our clients, all of our students. I wanted you to have a response. It was care.
It came from so much care.
Yeah,
it came so much
care. Yeah. I did not allow anybody to this day. Nobody that works for me is allowed to hook their computer or their devices to public Wi-Fi that's unsecured. Yep. I was like, I had to get, I got like 100 and then I got 200 gigs of hotspot on my phone just so I could do my work anywhere I was, which is great. The availability to be out on the salt flats and work from here is great. But this was important to keep everybody safe and secure. I would not jeopardize. No. I care a lot because I'm like, we have people's information. I take so much care about everything, and I always want to answer everyone timely, but there was a part of it came from this deep care, but there was still scaffolding, there was still architecture in me that was the urgency and the hustle, in a sense, from the corporate world and from startups, because I had been a part of different startups, like tech startups. And so it was just like, oh my gosh. And it would get to me. And I remember, like, I'd always be like, I tried my best, but sometimes the skills got to say, I'm like, you can't not answer the email right now. I'm like, and it was out of that, because at the time there was no welcome email automation. It was just everything.
Yeah, we had to do it all.
We were like gangster days, like pioneering, and it was before all of the tech and all the softwares that we have today. And so it was like, to me, if someone purchases one of my courses, like, I want them to have, like, when we were in launch, it was like stress time, because it was like time. Yeah, if you just invested in yourself, I think you want an email that tells you like what's going on and receive the access. That's what I would want. I've always operated whatever company according to what I would want, and my standards are pretty fucking high,
and we love that. I mean, standards are important, and it shows in the expanse of how the client relationships that you carry and have, in the community that's been built from that is really divine.
Cheers to that.
You know, exactly. And there's a beautiful space of understanding where some things were still coming from that scaffolding or that base structure of hustle. So the standards don't change, but the mode of operation started to.
Yes, absolutely. And I honestly, in my heart, like, I did not realize it, because I was making like, everything in me was shifting. And I do believe that there's a lot of women that are doing this, and they just don't, nobody knows what they don't know, right? Yeah. From the biggest heart intentions, and from the space that I held in my heart, we still, ran some of these operating structures that, quite frankly, were part of the matrices that we cleared with the moon matrix cycles. And that's the reason why there was a point where moon babes, we love moon babes, like, we love the rhythm and the understanding of the moon, and everything that was moon babes was like so epic, and so many amazing extraordinary teachings, like protocols of light and source code and sovereign queen. I mean, just so many that were so epic, and we impacted thousands around the world. But at some point, it was built on the lunar cycles, and I know that there's many people that are like moon aficionados,
and
absolutely. Like the moon, it's like a thing. And I still, like, I see the moon, I'm like, oh, amazing, like, it's beautiful I mean,
every she's moon, right? There,
all the time. But it was like letting go of that feminine, of that rhythm of the feminine that still has us entrained to a cycle. And the truth is, it started happening with my bleed, like with my bleed cycle, because all of a sudden, do you remember, we were still like together when my cycle went from 4 weeks to 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
It was like from new moon to full moon, like switching.
Yep.
And so it was like starting the bigger rhythms, right? Starting the bigger cycles. And so because we know the magic of a woman's menstrual cycle.
Absolutely.
And we worked with that, right? And so all of a sudden it was like, and I didn't understand it at the time, but there's a lot of things, because the moon being magnetic, you know, brings everything up, and we've worked with those cycles. Anyways, there was a time, and I didn't know it at the time, where it was the end of an era and Moon Babes end to end. But before that time, because this is about our story, but let me finish this thought. The thought of that is, since we're talking about Moon Babes and I'm having a nostalgia moment, the shift was from the cycles of the moon to the cycles of the sun, which is really wild because it's the solar feminine. So we went from lunar feminine to solar feminine. But before this, it felt
apartments that we've been nurtured into, or, you know, trained into creating, where like things have to be separate and they can't mesh and things, but we want to support each other. We want to be two queens fixing each other's crowns, but then like, where are the lines?
How.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I feel like we just didn't know how.
Yeah.
And that was like the thing, is like, Kelsey, I would have given you the world. I remember feeling that. I would have created anything for you. Like, but it just didn't.
It didn't translate.
It didn't
somehow.
translate.
We had distortions to clean up. And we were both, this was a cool thing that I thought we unpacked, and especially as we're talking about the change in the solar masculine to the feminine.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, like we both have shared now with our understanding and reflections that we were coming at each other for the masculine out of each other. And it was almost like they combated. Like I had some masculine wounding within myself I was coming in, and the business side of things, like I didn't consciously realize that I was looking at Sonia as the individual, Sonia as the friend and the sister, but Moon Babes, and that was what I was working with and for, right? And so that was this masculine container that was coming in to uphold and create structure and to support me, and I was supporting it, but there was a big masculine space there. And then when we had a collapse, we had our ending, like I had this whole void space of, wait, I have to show up and now be that for myself. Like, how do I do that? What do I create? Like, this was the vision. This was the dream. Like, we had a whole timeline happening, and then it all just dissolved, right? And in this conversation we recently had, you had some masculine spaces that were also coming out towards me, and we didn't know that in the moment, and we didn't know how to talk about it in the moment. And we weren't really in our feminine in a way that was embodied to
masculine feminine. I feel like we were in our masculine feminine. Like Kelsey was like the man, I'm going to say this, like the man of the events.
I was.
The man of the events. If there was something with like logistics or if we needed to build anything.
Right? I was like, carport, I got this. Let's go. Driving the RV. Like, what do we need to do?
The RV, anything. I was like, I bought it. It's mine. It's pretty. But I didn't feel good driving it. Yeah. She was a man, right? Like I was a man in the business. I was the man in the business. She was the man in our relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also, I think, where some lines got crossed, right? Because that wasn't super clean on roles. And so then there were certain desires or expectations or things that were just happening, but we weren't really sure how to talk about them because we just had these like opposing spaces for each other sometimes.
But we believed in where we were going.
100%.
We both, like, that was the thing. And that's the thing I've always loved about Kelsey, is she was like, I'm on the mission. Like, she's like on the mission. And we work well together because I'm a projector and
I'm a generator.
She's a generator, right? And so it's like, as soon as like what comes in, and I know things.
You
just like
the idea.
Yeah,
like, let's make it happen.
And like she's like, that's the one.
Yep.
And so we work well together. And it was like the receiving and the driving, literally. It's like together we could conquer anything, you know? So it was we worked well together. And that's the reason why I think our relationship was so like worked for so long and we created so much magic. It's because we had this incredible like transformational like goal and this vision around the planet, like heaven on earth and new earth grids. and healed and broken chains of family lines and empowerment and sovereignty and everything that, you know, Moon Babes was about, remembering our divinity and crown on, right? Like really working with it together in the mission, in the goal, and in what we were creating in this new earth realm, which really is celestial earth, which I'm calling the Eden templates.
Okay.
Because New Earth got a little like hacked, you know, like some of the New Earth grids got a little, I mean, when we say New Earth, we all know what we mean.
Right.
But we have celestial grids, we have flame grids. There's so many layers of grid work on the planet, and that's another conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what happened. And so we both had a significant loss. And I don't think at the time, neither one of us understood it. No. Because for me, like, especially with the business, there was such a drop. And for you in your personal life, it was such a drop.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we both had, it was like, wow. And that doesn't mean that everyone else that came on board on the team wasn't great, because God knows and the goddess knows that when there's mission and when there's vision, like everyone, like everything reorganizes always.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that happens, but on an emotional, personal, like we had so many things to untangle and to work out through. And how long ago was it? Was it like 2 years ago? 3 years ago now?
Our separation? Our split? Yeah, it was June. Our breakup was in June of 22.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's 4 years. June?
June. Yep. It was June. Here we are. It was actually, what's today? Today is the 11th.
Yeah.
It was this weekend.
No way.
Yeah. It was this weekend.
Oh.
That's a trip.
That is a trip.
Wow.
And we were together before that for 3 years. So this is a whole entire 7-year cycle.
Wow.
We're having a moment.
Whoa. Of course it is. We wouldn't do it any other way.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Because the sun would bring us back. Yeah. Sun and the moon. I mean, the solstice is the sun and the moon. Yeah. But the rebirth of the sun. So, oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I'm crying a little bit on the inside
right
now. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
A 7-year cycle. Yeah, which was the same cycle like with Moon Babes. It was the end of an era after 7 years, which for me was 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing, processing, downloading, but that was the whole thing. And so it took us that time to reconnect, and then that time, and we saw each other again at different events and out, and I only had love for her. I was always just very sad that it didn't work out, and there was a lot to work through at first, but I always wanted the best for her, just like the same, right? There was never, we were just both so like, I think it was the existential, for me, it brought up like existential betrayal patterns, like, because that's what it felt like to me. Like, I was going to do this for us, you know, like, and it was just such a loss, and there was grief, and it was like a death of like a partnership and on a friendship and of a dream. And so there was so much to clear through, but we saw each other, and fate would bring us together.
Yep, it's true. We'd have our little moments
in different places, and we're like, okay, we're checking in, right? Like, hey. And every so often, we would run into each other and see each other, and it was, you know, the conversations kind of, we checked in until the time came that it was like, I think we need to chat again.
We need to sit down and have like a real talk.
To have a real talk. And we had a very, very healing phone call.
We did.
Really, we were on the phone for like hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a couple talks, and I think that was a really beautiful thing, especially just as like, if you're listening to this and in relationship with, you know, like a soul person, and there's tension or things come up, especially in partnership even, which I think that's where there's some interesting space.
Similar.
Because there is, it like, you in relationship and you really care and love and have like a bond mission with someone, there a lot of things come up. And that was, we had a few talks, like we started talking back in January of this year, and we had lunch and things, and
then it wouldn't quite
it wouldn't quite click. More things would come up. You're like, okay, can I really trust this? And at least that's what came up for me, is like,
and we had to go through that again.
right.
Yeah.
Can I really trust this? And
Yeah.
then like there was another crescendo, and it happened a lot faster this time. And I'm really grateful that we've put in our own personal work to like meet our edges.
Yeah.
With
I was
desire
like, no.
and
this time we're doing this.
Yeah. And they're really, I love that we've both held ourselves
Yeah.
to that separately, of like, I'm unwilling to go at it half-assed. I'm going to give it all I have, or I'm not, or it's not for me. Right. And I really felt that. And then we would go in and we'd lean in and have a really magical moment, and something still wasn't totally there.
Being willing to show up, to have a hard conversation.
Say the real thing.
Vulnerability out, and be really introspective and be like, oh, wow, I can see this, from my side. I can see this from your side. I can see how you would have felt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we finally, from my perspective, when we had this big phone conversation that was so healing, we both radically took accountability for our pieces.
Yeah.
And like left nothing out on the table of vagueness.
Yeah.
We really were just like, I came up and was like, I know we had this vision, and these things are what came up for me, and I let it down. I let you down. Like, we have apartments that we've been nurtured trained into creating, where like things have to be separate and they can't mesh and things, but we want to support each other. We want to be two queens fixing each other's crowns, but then like, where are the lines?
How?
Right,
yeah.
right.
I feel like we just didn't know how.
Yeah.
And that was like the thing, is like, Kelsey, I would have given you the world. I remember feeling that. I would have created anything for you. Like, but it just didn't.
It didn't translate.
It didn't translate.
We had distortions to clean up. And we were both, this was a cool thing that I thought we unpacked, and especially as we're talking about the change in the solar masculine to the feminine.
Yeah.
Is that, like, we both have shared now with our understanding and reflections that we were coming at each other for the masculine out of each other. And it was almost like they combated. Like, I had some masculine wounding within myself I was coming in, and the business side of things, like, I didn't consciously realize that I was looking at Sonia as the individual, Sonia as the friend and the sister, but Moon Babes, and that was what I was working with and for, right? And so that was this masculine container that was coming in to uphold and create structure and to support me, and I was supporting it, but there was a big masculine space there. And then when we had a collapse, we had our ending, like, I had this whole void space of, wait, I have to show up and now be that for myself. Like, how do I do that? What do I create? Like, this was the vision. This was the dream. Like, we had a whole timeline happening, and then it all just dissolved, right? And in this conversation we recently had, you had some masculine spaces that were also coming out towards me, and we didn't know that in the moment, and we didn't know how to talk about it in the moment. And we weren't really in our feminine in a way that was embodied to
masculine feminine. I feel like we were in our masculine feminine. Like, Kelsey was like the man, I'm going to say this, like the man of the events.
I was.
The man of the events. If there was something with like logistics, or if we needed to build anything.
Right? I was like, carport, I got this. Let's go. Driving the RV. Like, what do we need to do?
Driving the RV, anything. I was like, I bought it. It's mine. It's pretty. But I didn't feel good driving it. Yeah. She was a man, right? Yeah. Like, I was a man in the business. I was the man in the business. She was the man in our relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also, I think, where some lines got crossed, right? Because that wasn't super clean on roles. And so then there were certain desires or expectations or things that were just happening, but we weren't really sure how to talk about them because we just had these like opposing spaces for each other sometimes.
But we believed in where we were going.
100%.
We both, like, that was the thing. And that's the thing I've always loved about Kelsey, is she was like, I'm on the mission. Like, she's like on the mission. And we work well together because I'm a projector and
I'm a generator.
She's a generator, right? And so it's like, as soon as like what comes in, and I know things.
You receive the idea.
Yeah,
like, let's make it happen.
And like, she's like, that's the one. And so we work well together, and it was like the receiving and the driving. Literally, it's like together we could conquer anything, So it was, we worked well together, and that's the reason why I think our relationship was so like worked for so long, and we created so much magic. It's because we had this incredible like transformational like goal and this vision around the planet, like heaven on earth and new earth grids and healed and broken chains of family lines and empowerment and sovereignty and everything that, you know, Moon Babes was about, remembering our divinity and crown on, right? Like really working with it together in the mission, in the goal, and in what we were creating in this new earth realm, which really is celestial earth, which I'm calling the Eden templates.
Okay.
Because new earth got a little like hacked, you know, like some of the new earth grids got a little, I mean, when we say new earth, we all know what we mean.
Right.
But we have celestial grids, we have flame grids. There's so many layers of grid work on the planet, and that's another conversation.
Absolutely.
But that's what happened. And so we both had a significant loss. And I don't think at the time, neither one of us understood it. No. Because for me, like, especially with the business, there was such a drop. And for you in your personal life, it was such a drop.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we both had, it was like, wow. And that doesn't mean that everyone else that came on board on the team wasn't great, because God knows and the goddess knows that when there's mission and when there's vision, like everyone, like everything reorganizes always.
Definitely.
And that happens. But on an emotional, personal, like we had so many things to untangle and to work out through. And how long ago was it? Was it like 2 years ago? 3 years ago now?
Our separation? Split? Yeah, it was June. Our breakup was in June of 22.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's 4 years. June?
June. Yep. It was June. Here we are. It was actually, what's today? Today is the 11th.
Yeah.
It was this weekend.
No way.
Yeah. It was this weekend.
Oh.
That's a trip.
That is a trip.
Wild.
And we were together before that for 3 years. So this is a whole entire 7-year cycle.
Wow.
We're having a moment.
Whoa. Of course it is. We wouldn't do it any other way.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Because the sun would bring us back.
Yeah.
Sun and the moon. I mean, the solstice is the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
But the rebirth of the sun. So, oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I'm crying a little bit on the inside
right
now. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
A 7-year cycle. Yeah, which was the same cycle like with Moon Babes. It was the end of an era after 7 years, which for me was 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing, processing, downloading. But that was the whole thing. And so it took us that time to reconnect. And then that time, and we saw each other again at different events and out. And I only had love for her. I was always just very sad that it didn't work out. And there was a lot to work through at first. But I always wanted the best for her, just like the same, right? There was never, we were just both so like, I think it was the existential, for me, it brought up like existential betrayal patterns, like, because that's what it felt like to me. Like, I was going to do this for us, you know, like, and it was just such a loss, and there was grief, and it was like a death of like a partnership and on a friendship and of a dream. And so there was so much to clear through, but we saw each other, and fate would bring us together.
Yep, it's true. We'd have our little moments
in different places, and we're like, okay, we're checking in, right? Like, hey, and every so often we would run into each other and see each other, and it was, you know, the conversations kind of, we checked in until the time came that it was like, I think we need to chat again.
We need to sit down and have like a real talk. Really,
to have a real talk. And we had a very, very healing phone call.
We did.
Really, we were on the phone for like hours. Yeah.
After a couple talks, and I think that was a really beautiful thing, especially just as like, if you're listening to this and in relationship with, you know, like a soul person, and there's tension or things come up, especially in partnership even, which I think that's where there's some interesting space.
Similar.
Because there is, it like, you in a relationship and you really care and love and have like a bond mission with someone, there a lot of things come up. And that was, we had a few talks, like we started talking back in January of this year, and we had lunch and things, and
then it wouldn't quite.
Right, it wouldn't quite click. More things would come up. You're like, okay, can I really trust this? And at least that's what came up for me, is like,
and we had to go through that again.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I really trust this? And then like there was another crescendo, and it happened a lot faster this time. And I'm really grateful that we've put in our own personal work to like meet our edges.
Yeah.
With
I was
desire
like, no,
and
this time we're doing this.
Yeah. And they're really, I love that we've both held ourselves to that separately, of like, I'm unwilling to go at it half-assed. I'm gonna give it all I have, or I'm not, or it's not for me, right? And I really felt that. And then we would go in and we'd lean in and have a really magical moment, and something still wasn't totally there.
Being willing to show up, to have a hard conversation,
say the real thing,
vulnerability out, and be really introspective and be like, oh wow, I can see this, from my side, I can see this from your side, I can see how you would have felt. Yeah.
And we finally, for me, from my perspective, when we had this big phone conversation that was so healing, we both radically took accountability for our pieces.
Yeah.
And like left nothing out on the table of vagueness.
Yeah.
We really were just like, I came up and was like, I know we had this vision, and these things are what came up for me, and I let it down. I let you down. Like, we had this vision, and these things are what came up for me, and I let it down. I let you down. Like, we had this, and I couldn't hold myself to it at that time. I didn't have the awareness and the skills, and since then, I'm so grateful because I knew where to focus. I've known what to heal and what to observe and what to go deeper in for myself, for my own personal work, whether that brought us back together or not, but I was committed.
Yeah, exactly. Because we had a trajectory, because the wound that we felt and the hurt that we felt, we both knew at this point of our lives and self-development and spirituality, it's like, that's something to look at.
Yeah.
And it really went on for a while. Yeah. So to unravel, but that conversation about, it brought up patterns of wounded sisterhood, like just all of the storyline. And we were talking on the phone, and I was like, fuck, Kelsey. I was like, this is Atlantis all over again.
I'm like,
and
here we go. We get to the point. This core aha that we both had.
I was like, these are the story, and the domino effect just started going. And we started unraveling the greater cycles and the way that the distortion happened. And this is how the feminine loss of power, right? That all of it, like the power in the feminine and the distortion with the masculine feminine, it was a whole unraveling, like a ginormous cord that through time and space and planes of existences started unraveling. But it was like, we lived all of this. And we have a connection, also a lifetime in Egypt. And so all of a sudden this all unraveled, and it went to origin point. It went to Lyra. Those of you that have been in tracking your galactic history and heritage, we both track to Lyra, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, this tracks all the way back. So it's the patterns in Atlantis, it's the patterns in Egypt, it's all the way reverberating like heaven and earth. Lyra, Egypt, on the planet, in the stars, right? That's why it was so...
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a breakthrough even like right now, having this conversation even deeper and like again, right? Because like even in 2020, which is when we really connected and like I joined the business and everything took off and we expanded, there was this whole like undertone of the Great Fall. Like we were at an Atlantis point again in consciousness.
We were.
And we, right? Like that
right at the opposite of the age of Leo.
Exactly. And I kept feeling, I don't want to make the same decisions. I don't want to fall again. Right. And I almost, like, in that moment, yes, it was for the greater collective in the world and the choices we got to make in 2020, but I'm realizing now how much of that was actually us playing out those archetypes and those understandings within each other. And that I was actually more afraid of the Great Fall happening of what we were doing than the collective experience happened. Right? Well, I'm having a whole fucking moment.
But when you were saying that, I'm like, that, because we had this very profound experience in Tulum. We danced the dance of light on a cenote. So we were on water in the sacred land, as close to the core of the earth as you can get.
Which is the, like, they call that the womb of the mother.
Of the mother. And these two, we were dancing the dance of I'm dancing earth, she's dancing fire. And so we're in front of each other. And we had this moment.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the fall,
yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, that was like the thing. We had this extraordinary moment where two serpents went right through us, and we were looking at each other right in the eyes across, like with our wands up, and I saw the serpent rise in her, and she saw the serpent rise in me, and we were like, yes. And these serpents like intertwined, like it was such a moment, and I think that moment bonded us to a point that it was so much deeper even than maybe we even understand right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that was like the serpent knowledge, that was feminine knowledge, that was
the deep feminine core wisdom came through us, and like exchange through. It was like that helixy DNA. I'm within you, you are within me. Like it. Oh man,
it was like the yin and the yang.
Yep.
It was the black flame and the white flame. Yeah, which I understood later. I was like, oh my gosh, it was the serpent, the dragons, the flames, but we didn't know it at the time. And that's,
and we were doing such big work. Like that was the huge reconnecting, opening, cleaning of the grid work, the Mayan grids, and like all the time locks that were stored.
So many time locks.
That was crazy.
But I think when you're saying like the fall, I think that was we probably had a choice, when you look back, and it's like, I wonder if that was our moment, because the serpent knowledge, like the Garden of Eden, we know the story, we know the story of the fall, like into density.
Wow, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And do you know what I brought that I haven't brought out in a long time? My serpent earrings today. Oh. I was like, if we take other pictures, I might wear my serpent earrings, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just the symbolism, right?
Of course.
And everything that comes through. But yeah, I think you're right. And you're like, I don't want to repeat these patterns. And it was like, let's see.
Yeah, do you? And like, how does it want to come up to really see it? And in the grand scheme of like timelines and things, like I'm really proud of us for meeting that. And it's, it's taken a few years, but to really see, like the depth of that. And then you connected it right to Atlantis and that connection, but then also Egypt, right? And then after our split, we both went to Egypt separately.
Yeah.
And did work there.
The next year. I went in 2023. Yeah.
Yep. So did I. The solstice.
I went for
the winter
October.
solstice.
No, I went for October because there was an alignment of the sun. Yeah, solar alignment.
So
switching to solar already.
Yeah. And did this deep work, and it was just I'm finding it.
And Bell. That's where.
The
sun was rising.
Oh yeah, and it goes straight through.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens in February and October, right?
Yep, we went for the October one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wild.
So see, the sun brought us to Egypt. And that was a whole other thing where it was like curses that had to be lifted from back there. Yeah. That was the season of Break the Curse.
Yep.
Once I figured that out,
okay.
I taught Break the Curse, which is still one of the like most amazing and extraordinary experience. And that was the first time that I actually had Mary Magdalene come through in the Breakthrough for Love. Like we did breakthrough after breakthrough. Yeah. That was like extraordinary.
How beautiful.
But it's like how the whole story reweaves together, because we had to reconnect. I mean, thank God we went through this, because if we would have stayed on that mission without clearing these patterns out.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point to touch on. And I deeply feel that. Like, and that is another piece.
I mean, it sucked.
Yeah. Oh, it sucked. But at least we did the work.
But I want to be honest.
Yeah, it sucked.
Like sometimes these things get minimized, and we're not really able to talk about these things as openly as quote unquote we should be in sisterhood and in communities. Yeah.
And I love giving like authentic space to that, because sisterhood wounds run really deep, and some women come up in like midlife years in this timeline and are like, I haven't even processed that. Like they haven't had space, or haven't given themselves, or haven't felt safe, or whatever it is, right? And so I am grateful that they came up. And that was the other piece of the conversation that we touched on that I thought was a really big aha around the archetypes of the goddesses in their distortion field, right? Because like we can name these different, if we're talking about Egypt, right? Like Isis and Hathor, and the purity of them is beautiful. And yet how many timelines and stories in different walks of life have talked about who that goddess is and has created distortions around it, right? And there was still things of that playing out. And I know big for me because I was very in the Rose lineage, Mary Magdalene and Isis at that time, but I was still processing through distortions of those goddesses that were really around me and running through me a lot.
Because it was the grids that we've known.
Exactly.
It was the grids that we've known. And we've been talking about this. So part of the planetary grids, the archetypal grid is one grid. And that's where the stories are held and told. It's like these stories that are encoded on this grid. This is the archetype grid. So we can refer to archetype, but when we go into the purity, right? When we start working through to source, to God, to the goddess, now with the flame, where we're connecting to the goddess is up here. The grids are here. Yeah. And this is where the archetypes were. And so they collected all of these distortions. You know, and so it's like it's the same because it looks like it's the same. But when we're talking about how the world feels like we're losing meaning, it's getting flattened. This is it. Yeah. Right? It's the same thing. It's like it's a fucking echo of something that we know to be true. Just like when people go to sacred sites that have been like so distorted, like Glastonbury in England is one of these sites. Because it's a beautiful, like this is like Avalon, and there's a Magdalene well, and there's natural springs. I mean, it's just like King Arthur. There's like amazing magic, but the grids were so distorted, and a lot of people go there, and it's a place that it like reminds you of something that you don't really know, but that tunes you into something greater. And so you're like, this must be it, right? For a lot of people, it's like, yes, I feel something, but then it's echoes, right? It's echoes of resonance, and it's not the actual, like the depth of the truth. And partly because for a long time, we couldn't have handled that. Like,
right. Oh, yeah.
We couldn't handle this much of ourselves, like remembering this much of ourselves. And like carrying all of this in here, Kelly. Like this much of me on the planet, like all of the parts, like reconciled. Whew. Yeah. And so what we could hold and what resonated was like here. And that was like, I'm going to say enough. But then there comes a time where it's not enough because soul growth.
We've hit a point of evolution. Now it's not.
Hit points of evolution. And that was like one of the things with me is the stories, like why I always resonated with feminine and goddesses. I mean, I was the one that was putting crowns and lipstick on women, like remember your feminine, from the beginning of our moon babe ceremonies. Like
many crowns.
To this day, I have crowns for everybody. Like remember to wear your crown. Yeah. But I never resonated so much with the archetypes, like in the depth of it. It always felt like it was a reference point for me. Yeah. But it was never something that I was like, I'm weaved into it because it didn't feel like it was right for me at the time. I had so much love and respect for the understanding of the goddess and the goddesses that I have, but I knew that wasn't it. Right? It's like, there's more, but I just wasn't there yet because I hadn't reconciled through all of the layers of my cosmic self. And it took like all of the reconciliation of all of the parts, like the Pleiadian, the Syrian, the Arcturian, the Lyran, like all of the parts, of all of my layers of who I am and coming in up to like the founder self. So those of us that were, there at the beginning of time of this cosmic, like we start to remember all the way through. And once I reconciled and I remembered all the parts of me and brought them home, and I'm not saying that it's like to the fullness, right? Because otherwise I'd be glowing. All of the parts of me are connected, they're integrated, they're harmonized. And from that place of being at oneness with myself and being in fullness of who I am at the edge of what is possible for me, that's where I understood the goddess. And then I was like, and it's been a whole new, and I think that's why I wasn't sometimes we're not meant to get into other rabbit holes, right?
Right, of
Until
course.
the time
Yeah,
comes. Yeah,
right.
That's kind of how it
And
goes.
honestly, I like that part to hold as even an invitation, right? Of like something can create a resonance or like that gong of knowingness, and it may not be the time, right? Because you're working through something else, and you know, like not to push or force, like, oh, I have to go study this because whatever, right? Like what is alive in the moment, and you followed your path with it, right? And there were moments where like we were on different paths, even because I was so deep in the goddess lineage when we were working together. That was like my other side of things, right? There was like the moon babes and the galactic side of things, and then I was deeply in the earth realms and the path of the rose. And so I was like, where do these things converge where I feel like they're similar, but at that time they weren't syncing.
But now they do,
But
because
now,
I was going this way, right? So I was doing
you were going
all
this,
of the different archetypes,
right.
and you
I'm
were
going
moving
this way.
through. But now the flame really weaves everything together, because we are the meeting point of heaven and earth. We're not a bridge. We are the place.
Yes.
We are the place. Like, we are the meeting point of heaven and earth. Like, we're the place where everything wants to be in. Like, our physical bodies are the most sought after technology out there, which is a whole other conversation.
Right. DNA,
our
whoa.
DNA, DNA, wow.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's been such a love story through all of the cosmos, to have our capabilities and our DNA, and to sign up for this mission, for this life on earth at this time where we would forget the depths of who we are at this level, with a body that actually holds this much. I can't even, imagine. Can you imagine being like, oh my God, I'm going to forget all of these things. Right. But I want to go operate in that body. Like, I want that human body in this time, in this moment, where it is possible to reconcile.
Right. What will I choose to learn? What will I do? What will I experience? Like, where is that power position if we choose it, right? And that's the free will of the choice, right? That we're setting ourselves up for in this wild experience.
And here we are at the salt flats. We hope that you can feel this.
Yes. Translating through the salt. And I really love how much that cleanses. There's something about this valley, right? And this much salt in the crystalline grid and all the other grid works that we've now helped to connect to, align and waken and clean and all the things. And then the salt's just constantly cleaning for us. And it's really profound to be doing this work and have the gift to be able to sit here and have these really deep conversations, and like how much deeper
in
that
a space
goes.
That means so much.
Yeah because really, like, I mean, at least our story, since we're telling that, it started here. I mean, yes, the connection started online,
but
globally,
a big
but
part of
the draw here, because I came in 2019. I came in 2019 to come to your retreat, and I met you in person for the first time before we worked together. And we
were
came
just
to the
talking
Salt
about
Flats.
that, which was like
It's
right there. It was the first official dance of light that I held after the lineage was passed down to me from my teacher Chantel Nicole, who's now one of our angels.
And you danced it, and you activated all of us, because it was just the four of you women that were dancing, and it was really beautiful, and we got to witness it. And I think you had your like amethyst hearts on, right?
No, that was the time before. No, we had crowns that time.
Okay. Yeah. But it was just it was so beautiful to really like come and connect, and for me to be new to the land, and it was my first time in Utah. I was nomadic, but I had never been through other than like the beautiful places down south, and to come up here and be on the salt flats, and it was just like so magical, right? And we wove this, and I could feel it then, right? I was like, oh, there's something happening here. Like, I could feel the ancestral knowledge and the cosmic knowledge that had been passed down to you through this dance that was then activating my DNA. And then it was only a year essentially from that point that I said yes and ended up coming out here, and we did our 8/8 retreat, and there was just so much magic. We came to the salt again, and it's been a really healing, anchoring, and expanding place. So I love that we're having this conversation, and what spirals from this point is going to be epic.
We've been here in every version.
Yep.
Right?
We
like
sure have.
We celebrated the first $1 million in Moonbase.
Yeah, we did. We sure did.
That's right. You came as a student.
Yep.
You received the activation. So before we actually dance it all together, because it's been such an evolution.
Yeah.
And so before we could do that, we were just passing on an activation.
Yep.
Now everybody gets to do it at the same time because the grids can hold it.
Yep.
So it's been extraordinary. Yeah, we did that, and then we did our first event with our pink runway carpet.
Yes, that was magical.
And yeah, that was the Lionsgate 2020, the first Lionsgate retreat.
Yep.
Yeah, and then like so many things have been celebrated. We recorded here. We were just talking about this. We did like all of the drone footage with so many of our sisters. That was epic. So many, and we've done sound.
Yeah, the sound bath out here.
Yeah, the
was
sound
really
bath
great.
out here. We've had so many moments that were so marking history.
Yeah,
her
absolutely.
story, our story.
Yeah, our story
Our
has
story.
been here,
And
it's coded. It's locked
Just-
in the crystalline
it's
structure.
salt.
Yeah.
on top of, okay, so let's tell the story of the Dance of Light.
Yes.
And the salt flats.
Yes.
So
it's
we
time.
are in they're called the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah. They're west of Salt Lake. And this whole, like you can see, the whole thing
Ta-da!
is salt on top of the Salt Lake of Salt Lake City.
Mhm.
And the reason why this land, I never knew why Utah called me.
Mm.
And
Same.
right? So from Italy to Utah, I landed here. And when I learned to feel the grid, when I worked the corridors and the grid points, the grid lines here of Utah, and I started understanding the resonance and the galactic resonance, there's big Andromedan crystal at the core of this, like underneath, which is interesting if it's ever going to like be, there's,
Yeah, who knows? what'll
because
happen.
there's like a little bit of a drought situation where the levels are lowering. So I wonder what is going to come up here. We digress. But the crystals that are held here, so it's crystal and water and salt. So from Italy to Utah, I landed here. And when I learned to feel the grid, when I worked the corridors and the grid points, the grid lines here of Utah, and I started understanding the resonance and the galactic resonance, there's big Andromedan crystal at the core of this, like underneath, which is interesting if it's ever going to like be, there's,
Yeah, who knows? what'll
because
happen.
there's like a little bit of a drought situation where the levels are lowering. So I wonder what is going to come up here. We digress. But the crystals that are held here, so it's crystal and water and salt.
Mhm.
So that's magic.
Pure magic.
And there's
Alchemy
so much
right
magic,
here.
so much alchemy. So coming here, and that's why today we wanted to find a spot to do it again, because it's such an extraordinary feeling. And when your feet are on the salt, it's like, it's really, I mean, we're wearing our shoes now, but it's like, it's a whole other feeling. It's such a healing, detoxing, connecting, grounding, and it really feels out of this world.
Yeah, it really does. It's
Truly.
a beautiful place. I'm blessed to be here and can tell that it is a big anchor point of even my travels and being here and really doing epic work when we are grid workers, right? And where we're called to across the globe is really important. And there's been so much to do and anchor and help cleanse and clear and support the land that's actively doing it. But, you know, there's a lot to detox. And we're doing our
And
thing.
also this, yeah.
to
Yeah.
support-
Okay, so the Dance of Light. Here's the story of the Dance of Light. This is where we start the story of the Dance of Light. So, a long time ago, because this story actually starts in 2017, when I was first contacted, or in my sphere came the Pleiadians. It was the very first time that I heard group consciousness. I didn't know what it was at the time. I was, at this point, my grandma had passed away. I had gotten comfortable, like, with the other side. I knew my archangels, like Archangel Michael's my person at the time. Like, I was working with different, with all of the different archangels, and I was working with ancestors on the other side. Good with God, good with Christ, right? Like, there were these understandings that I had, and I'm very picky. We were talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm very picky about who I'm talking to. Spirit is not a thing. Like, you want to know, even though, you know, Great Spirit is a different thing, but when you're talking to someone and you feel someone in your energetic field, ask them the hard questions and know how to clear and know how to discern. So I vetted every single one of my angels. I vetted every single one of who, you know, is talking to me. And there's ways of doing, there's light protocols for that. And the what happened when I first heard this group consciousness, I was at my mentor Gary's workshop, and we were doing this process that he calls stepping into your God self. And it was just a pure energy, right? It's such a powerful, powerful moment. I love Gary's work. This is Gary Acevedo. And in that moment, there was such an energy in the room that I think it was probably one of the best places for me to hear, right? And it was like, all of a sudden I heard this choir. It sounded like a choir. And I was like, who's talking in my head, right? Like, so different. And then they said, we're the Pleiadians. And I was like, wait, what? Who? Right? So this is before I knew any of these things. I mean, I was good getting in with the archangels. I was tracking. I was trying to figure out what parts of the things of the Bible were true. I remember I was chasing down the prophets. I had found the Akashic records. I was like, wait a minute. I need to know about Noah. Did that happen? Like, did this deluge happen? Yeah. So I was debunking a lot of like the biblical things and understanding and really tracking it for myself just because I wanted to know. So one-on-one, like, these conversations are different. But when you feel a group consciousness talking in your head and you can't get them out, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, nobody is rent free in my head. Like, that's a non-thing. Okay. And these guys our Pleiadians were like telling me, like, one day specifically, I was going to my mentor Gary's workshop for the next day, and they were telling me what to wear, and I was like, I don't think so. Like,
is this the doorknob story?
This is a doorknob story. This is the doorknob story because this is how, like, the whole story came, right, of the dance of light. So it's kind of like an interesting thing. But they were telling me what to wear. I was going to wear comfies. They were like, you have to dress like a queen, you know, and it's like, fine, just leave me alone. Stop talking in my head. Like, we need to talk later. I need to go to this workshop. I was like, tell me who you are. Tell me what we're here for. And they're like, well, we're the Pleiadian. It was Ashtar and Mira. We're here. And I don't know if they told me their names at that time, but they said, we're the Pleiadians and we're here. And I was like, what is your purpose? Like, state your purpose, state your intention, you know. I'm very technical in these things. And it was like, we're here to unlock. And I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, never mind. I don't have time for this right now. I have to get ready. I'm gonna go. And I wore these colors that were like platinum and bright teal and blue, which are not generally my colors, but I felt drawn to them, right? So I was like, okay. And then I was like, will you give me a sign today? I was like, before I go, will you give me a sign today in a way that is like, you know, and I didn't know at the time, but to ask about my sign. And so I was like, will you give me a sign? And in my head, I thought, they'll come talk to me at Gary's workshop. That's a safe place, right? Like, they'll maybe give me a sign in like this working environment. No. I walk down the hallway. My ex-husband is at the door. We're heading to the workshop, and he goes to open the door knob, and the whole door handle fell apart in his, I'll never forget. And I'm watching because I'm still walking. Okay. And he was like, what the fuck? Like, it was just this whole thing. And I am watching it. Like, I was like, what? Like, never. When does it ever, like, and then I heard unlock. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is not it. This is not the sign. It was like a Sunday. We literally had a hole in our door. We had to like, and I was like, okay, we're going to just like do this spiritual, like holding the store together. That's amazing. So our doorknob at the time had two parts, and they were both gold. We go to the workshop, sequence of things happen there. We come back, and our doorknob colors, like, they replaced it, and it was platinum. It was like a silver, right? So it was gold and silver. I was like, I mean, really, we're going to have a door, but it was a Sunday, like, you know, it can't be like too picky. It was like, I can't believe somebody thought of putting like gold and then silver. Anyways, I'm having these wild experiences with these Pleiadians. I call Gary and I was like, Gary, there's some shit that's happening that's like a little out of my league. It's not shit. It's like, you know, amazing, incredible things that are happening. I was like, do you have anybody that also is like a medium or can like help me with any of these things. And he was like, yes, Chantel, here, let me give you her number. She's really great. Okay. So I don't know who she is. I go and drive out to see her. I don't say anything, just like most of us do, right? And so I was like, no, so she starts scanning my field and she talks to me like I know what she's talking about, because she's like, oh, your aura is like so open. And she was seeing, and she's like, well, you know, like you have the Pleiadians and you have like Sirians, and I see like your connections. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I'm sorry, what? So, and she was like, well, you're wearing their colors. I thought you knew. And I was like, what do you mean I'm wearing their colors? And then she was, because I happened to be wearing like a similar outfit. And it was like, you're wearing teal blue and platinum. These are in like purple. And these are like the Pleiadian colors. And I was like, no shit. That's why my doorknob, right, was changed. So she was my first like confirmation of a lot of things. And she confirmed a lot of other things that were going on that I knew for sure about, like other guides and angels. And anyways, she was just a sweet, like amazing, incredible woman, and who's in her 60s. And she was like, she had lived a life of not having a filter, like since she was a kid. And and she was ready. Like when she met me, she knew, but she didn't tell me. She knew that I was the person, because the Pleiadians were in my realm, in my field. And that was the only one session I ever had with her. And she told me the things that she needed to say. And she was like, oh, I see you have, I forget it. She was like, I see you have hot Jesus. And I was like, what do you mean hot Jesus? And she's like you've cleaned out all of that religious nonsense, like all of the religious stuff about him. Like you actually hold him in his purest form. I call him hot Jesus. I was like, I do have hot Jesus. About her. I know. I was like, oh my gosh. Like she was amazing. And so she was like, she saw me as a soul sister. I call him hot Jesus. I was like, I do have hot Jesus. About her. I was like, oh my gosh. Like she was amazing. And so she was like, she saw me as a soul sister, and she really was. And so after that, you know, I received different confirmations. I received some understandings, and I felt like I was safe. And she was like, oh, you know, like just ask Michael. Like she worked very closely with Archangel Michael. She's like, just ask Michael to like translate whenever you don't feel, you know, safe. And I was like, that is a great idea, because I know and trust Archangel Michael. And so he was kind of my in-betweener for a lot, and my translator. Anyways, from that story and that moment and that session that I had with her, because then I navigated by myself. One day she was like, hey, and she worked closely with both Archangel Michael and the Pleiadians. And she was like, I get to pass this lineage on to you. And I was like, what is this? And she was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And so there was an initiation about this dance of light that was given to her in a dream, step by step, by the Pleiadians, the same Pleiadians that came to teach me, that showed up for me, that brought me to her. Right. So it's quite a love story. Yeah. And they, and so she taught all the steps, and she had danced this dance of light that was about the activation of all of the strands of DNA, all of the 12 strands of DNA. At the time it was 12, right? As we knew it. Now we work with 13 strands of DNA, and we go all the way up to 39. And this year we're going to go even higher, because we understand the evolution of our DNA. Yeah. But in this, at the time, so this was 2017, we were working with the 12, or maybe we were doing like an 8-strand DNA. I can't remember. We weaved 8 times, I think.
I think we did.
Yeah. Has been constant. As we activate more DNA, the weaving and the activation gets higher and higher. So the purpose of the dance of light is literally to weave together heaven and earth via the elements and the cardinal points, together with heaven and earth as cardinal points, the elements, the archangels that guard those points. And because it was so much to weave through and anchor in this activation of the DNA, what would happen is we would dance it together with the Pleiadians. And so at the beginning of every dance of light, we have a ceremony where you actually meet your guide, or a lot of times it's like your version of yourself, and you really feel them dancing with you, right? Remember we used to do this all the time, where you feel like they're going in you like this, like to hold the wands, because we dance, we have these beautiful movements that weave together. We weave light into the grids and we anchor it between heaven and earth. And it was so much to bring from heaven to earth that we couldn't do it by ourselves. We literally needed the hands of our light body, Pleiadian family, to hold the wands with us. And so everyone always says, always says, I'm not going to remember all the steps. And I was like, watch, because it will be your Pleiadian counterpart self, right? Like your Pleiadian self within you that will know the step. You will know the steps. And so it's this magical weaving that we have here. So divine. This is where we dance a dance of light. And so can you imagine like bringing together heaven and earth on salt, on top of water, with Andromedan crystals? I mean, it's the cosmos. We weave with the fabric of creation.
We do. It is such an empowering, I don't even know how to explain the feeling when you're in it. And to be able to like share that with everyone who shows up, but then we've also shared it online, right? And like blasted that frequency out, and then other groups have danced it all over the globe. I loved that part. We like taught all these groups to dance it, and we all danced it at the same time together wherever we were on the planet. And you can feel it. You can feel the co-weaving of this frequency in our DNA, moving across time and space in the ley lines. It is one of the most divine experiences I've had and carried.
Yeah. It changes you like in the moment.
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
like.
And I love that I'm just excited. It's a really beautiful offering. And again, like we started with this in part of our story with coming, and I got to receive the activation, right? Like even just
got to be a part of it.
Yeah, being here and then joining the team and coming in and you approaching me and being like, you hold the flame, which is what opens and closes the circle in the space and in the dance. And the amount of honor and reverence that I even embodied to just be gifted with the ability to lead the space was something that completely has changed my life. And I've now danced it all over in all of my travels. Whenever like, you know, that Pleiadian consciousness comes through and the earth is like, this is the time, this is the place. And then we taught it, right? And I got to be, I'm, you know, a dancer and a performer, and to teach it to all of these different people who've come into our sphere has just been one of the most incredible gifts of my life. And I absolutely am just so excited. And I love hearing the story of how it came to you and how it's come to the planet, really. And, you know, like the Pleiadians are, you know, sister consciousness that are really like helping us do this earth game and keeping us like amplified in our magnitude and in our frequency, and being that close and literally like being so safe and activated in our own body that we're the willingness to open up to that amount of light and frequency in this physical
embodiment,
form.
It's divine, feeling like you're a divine carrier.
It's so good.
Here's the thing that, like, as you were talking about, like, I'm thinking through all the dances of light. So here's the thing that Chantal was given this dance in a dream from the Pleiadians, step by step. But what's extraordinary is that, and she danced it all over. She danced it in the Black Sea. She danced it in Israel. She danced it in Stonehenge, in the Sea of Galilee. I mean, and then... like there's just, and so she was like, you have to dance this. Like she gave me this charge and I was like, okay. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. And now I'm like, the land calls. The land calls, because the dance of light, while it looks like it's a beautiful sacred dance, you feel the activation, the divinity like moving through you, and you understand what it feels like to have heaven and earth merge inside of you, and your DNA becomes alive in a whole new way. And every iteration of it not every time, because sometimes it's been the same, like it's been similar, but
Yeah.
there's an evolution, because every time we remember, every time we discover more, every time the chakra pillar, like my crystalline framework, grows, because there's remembrance and there's evolution, then that gets to be weaved in. And we get to work like with all of the new layers and all of the ways that we expanded. Now, in fact, it was born with 4 elements and 4 directions, and now we are dancing it with 5, because we also added metal. Metal came in when we danced the Dance of Light in Colombia. So every place has held a sacred and a very specific, the land has brought back different places, different remembrance from the earth, like we weave together. And now we're really bringing it's a dance of light that is the dance of light, dance of flame, right? So we're bringing it.
I'm so excited.
And one more thing that's like extraordinary about this, so this iteration will be like where we dance it next, which will be Spain, which is so epic, for the total solar eclipse. And it will be like we have one here for the solstice, which will have a digital experience, and then in person in Spain for the solar eclipse, which is literally the rebirth of the sun, the rebirth of the flame. Like, I'm so excited.
So excited.
And one extraordinary thing is in the caves of southern Utah, they found drawings. I can't remember exactly if it was like around Moab or one of the, like in the Red Rocks.
That's where all the petroglyphs, most of what they found are, so probably.
Yeah, it was somewhere like right around there. And they found literal petroglyphs that showed the star beings and the moves that we make, like with the wands.
So incredible.
It was the star beings that gave to the people these particular moves in order to weave together heaven and earth. That's why we use selenite. And when it was given, this dance, when it was given to Chantel, she was told this is an ancient first time. This is the first time. And I feel like now with the flame grids, it needs to happen. Like this work needs to happen.
It's part
on
of the grid
planet.
work. Yeah.
And I really want it to be pure. This is such a thing for me, like to be pristine, to be pure.